review on your favorite podcast platform, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really enjoy it, share a link to this podcast with friends or family who would enjoy hearing our weekly discussions about basketball and basketball culture. Now, on to the show.
Isn't it amazing when Michigan can keep this game to a 19-foot 9-inch game inside that three-point line? It's all theirs. Nice move by Steve Fisher here. Turn it into the 19.
Welcome to the 19-9 podcast. I'm Aaron Meyer, the host of today's show. Co-host duties fall to Robert Wire. Our guest today is A.J. Moye. He was part of Bobby Knight's final recruiting class at Indiana and became a pivotal piece in the program's team that got to the 2002 NCAA championship, won the Big Ten that year. After college, Moye played several seasons of professional basketball overseas and is leaving a coaching legacy as a player development specialist. Welcome to the podcast, A.J.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I want to start out. We start out out of a basketball origin story. So just how did you get, you're from Georgia, correct? Mm-hmm. So how did, deep in football country, how did you fall in love with the game of basketball? Was it a thing or what sparked your interest in becoming a hooper?
You know what? The thing is with me, my number one, so that was my number one love. So I just love competing. So, man, I played every sport, man. I played football. I played basketball. I ran track. Man, I did tennis. I played racquetball, man. I played kickball. I played like anything with a winner and a loser, I played it.
Yeah.
And so I was playing about 4 sports as a freshman. And then I was real good in football. That's where everybody thought I was going to just do that because I was a wide receiver. And I used to just catch everything. And then so I was a middle linebacker. So, I was hitting everything. But, man, I think I might have had about 4 or 5 concussions by the time I was 14.
Yeah.
Because, I'm just around, bam. I see it. I'm going to knock his head off. So I had to stop doing that. Yep. And then in baseball, man, once that ball started curving and sinking and splitting and doing all that, I said, I'm done with this. And then once those guys started throwing 85, 90, I was like, nah. I remember the first time we were like in a Little League World Series for like the southeastern part of the United States.
Yeah. And
some kid, man, he threw an 84-mile-an-hour fastball. I'm like 13. I'm like, nah, I don't necessarily want to do this. And so it became a basketball thing where I loved it. And I'm like, wow, I love this. I'm competitive. And the thing is, because it was the South and I used to playing so much football that it wasn't nothing to bump into somebody on the basketball court. So, I started really loving basketball. And because of that love, man, that love and the motor that I had, like that competitive, I don't know. So I this competitive, I guess this gene in me that makes me just compete. And so with basketball, I loved how you could improve on the game. Because, some sports, you really can't improve on the game without having, at least 3 to 4 players there with you. And in basketball, it's a sport where you can just, you can work on it solo and get unbelievably good. So I just fell in love with the process of improving.
Yeah, I'm picturing you like Michael Jordan in The Last Dance with the managers at IU playing that game where he's throwing the dimes toward the wall. I feel like I got to beat these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's me.
So is playing in Georgia?
Hold on real quick.
Go ahead.
Speaking of managers at IU, the managers at IU, they loved me, but they all hated me because every single day, man, I was in the gym.
Yes.
To 10, 11, 12, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. After games, I remember we were playing Missouri when they were number 1 in the country.
Yeah.
My senior year, we had them beat. And then I had a pull-up like in the last 4 to 5 seconds. I got the mic right in the middle, and I missed it. And, man, I was heartbroken. No one knows it, but I stayed in the gym. I didn't go home that day. So maybe 2 hours after the game, I had a manager come in there. I might have did this. I did that same move I did until like 4 or 5 in the morning. I might have did that move like 3,000 times, right? And the manager's like, man, AJ, can I go home? And then so I let him go, and I ended up sleeping in Assembly Hall that night.
Wow.
Oh, geez.
Unbelievable. That's great.
That's commitment right there.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, in Indiana, there's a basketball court everywhere. Now in Georgia, like, is the pickup games and stuff when you were young, or is it, is there games everywhere, or is it harder to find games down there since it's mainly, football is the big thing down there?
Nah, man, we play ball in Georgia, but in Georgia, it's not so much the young kids playing ball, right? But in my day and age, man, we had like Pete Smith, like Walt Smith. Like Josh Smith's dad, he played ball.
Okay.
Norris Bell played ball.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like all these old heads played ball. And that's where I played ball. So I never played basketball with kids my age.
Yeah.
So I owe that to my Uncle Leonard. So my Uncle Leonard, man, when I was like 9, 8 years old, he used to take me back. And he usually just physically assaulted me, man. Right? He stepped on my foot, throw an L in my area, killed me, and then up and had nerve to say foul and won and stuff. So I always played with older people my whole life. So I played against people. Like, by the time I was 11 or 12, I was playing in the grown man runs like every day. And so, but when it came time to play against high school kids, this was a walk in the park.
I love it. I think that's a big thing, and I'm curious. Just we can get into that a little bit later. But as a player development coach, do you think that's something that do you try to work in aspects of that when you're developing young players? Because I think that is a difference now. So many of them play with their own age group, and there's just a different styles and different physicality when you're playing with a grown man as a young guy.
Yeah, it is. But and then there's something. It's a mentality, right? My mentality of that never say die, that tough as nails. I'm gonna run through 17 brick walls if I have to. Like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. It's an element of me that I found out through coaching and through teaching players. You can pass that on. Like, a lot of times they say, well, you can't put it on. You can. Now, in some people, it's way more harder to do it. But you can pass that on. So I'm really not the nicest, kindest, soul in the world. But I'm not evil as well. You know what I mean? But I push kids past their comfort zone every day, each and every day. I push them a little past the comfort zone. So I'm not gonna straight, just be, like I don't want to say who, but I'm not gonna be like all the way just overboard. But
there's a lot of overboard.
I give them pushes from time to time.
They're not sleeping in the gym.
Yeah.
So when you were recruited by Bob Knight, what was that like?
Oh, man, it was great for me. So for me, like, growing up, so here's one of my favorite players. My favorite player was Larry Bird. My next guy was Isaiah Thomas. And then my next guy was like Dave Bean, believe it or not. You know what I mean?
Dave Bean.
Like,
wow.
I love Dave Bean, So those were my guys. And I loved Isaiah Thomas, man. And so I used to watch Isaiah, man, like, religiously. Like, whenever he was on, he was just a warrior, how he competed and how he played. And then, when Coach Knight, when I was getting recruited, man, he had Allen Henderson reach out to me, and Allen Henderson was on the Hawks. Like, my junior, senior year, I'd go around Allen Henderson at least about once a month.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I just, we'd talk, we'd hang out. He showed me stuff about ball. And then, I talked with Isaiah one time, and that was it. I was like, man, I'm going to Indiana. But I loved Coach Knight, too, how he was. So, like, everyone else who recruited me, it was crazy. Like,
did you think about going anywhere else?
I had a coach call me.
Was there anywhere else that you were considering?
Because the thing was, because it was I hate to say this, and I think recruiting has gotten better now, but I don't really know now. But it was absurd. Like, I had one school that called. Some guy was like, "Hey, if you go 2 streets over, it's like an Explorer park. And it's 35,000 in the car." Like, for real, literally, I got that call. I remember a West Coast school. They sent me 113 letters in one day, and each letter was a word was a word in a sentence or a word in a paragraph they were trying to convey. But I was like, what the hell? What is this, man? Like, I kept opening them, and then like, we want you to. And each letter was like, I'm like, so it got to be too much for me. So honestly, my mother would tell you, we have at my home, she has a closet full of letters, like full of letters, and only about one, the majority of them. So I had letters from everyone in the world, and I never really looked at them or listened to them, man. I had coaches. I'd go to school. I'd come home and be a coach in my home talking to my mother. I go to work out. I come home and someone in my house talking to my mother. So it was like that. And then when Coach Knight came, and everyone was promised, oh, yeah, you're going to be this, and you're going to be that, and you're going to get this. And Coach Knight said, hey, I like you a lot. You remind me a lot of Quinn Buckner. And Quinn Buckner was the last man to play on the undefeated team. And then he said,
good call.
I'm not promising you. I'm here. He said, I can promise you that you will be a part of a team that will win championships. He said, I can promise you that if you come here and work hard, I would do my all to help you with whatever you want to do afterwards, and I will promise you that you will get a degree. And I was like, well, cool, sign me up. It happened just like that,
Yeah,
I like the hard work aspect of it all.
That's amazing, and
I love the hard work aspect of it all.
I think we talked to Charlie Miller a couple of weeks ago too, and he hit on that too. I think that's such an underrepresented thing in college basketball, that it really is about the culture and winning and going to a place where you're not being just sold something or breaking your mailman's back, but someone that's going to be honest with you, and you get farther in life too, right? If you've got a person that's going to be real with you rather than just sell you a load of goods to try to put another person on the roster, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the. I don't even think, because I think people look at recruiting differently, and I think people look at everything in life differently, or they think things change. I don't necessarily think things, of course, naturally we're human beings, so we all shall evolve, right?
Right.
Each generation of human being is going to do something to push everything forward, from basketball to financial literacy to medicine to everything, right? It evolves, right? But at square one, at the root of it all, it's got to be your passion. It's got to be your dedication. It has to be your humility. It has to be hard work. You know what I mean? And it has to be a consistent grind day in, day out to achieve those things.
Let me ask you this: for guys that you're trying to get, or I don't maybe even know how it exactly works, but for guys that you want to work with, is there an aspect of recruiting to that, or are they seeking you out for that?
Oh yeah, everybody seeks me out. Man.
Okay.
I don't, because my thing is this: like, I tell them, and I'll tell them all when they come. I say, listen, I'm not the coach that's gonna be, sticking potpourri up your tail and telling you that you're great and you're thing sliced bread. I'm gonna push you until you mentally have to be at a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to get better right now. Because if you're focusing on getting better, if your emphasis isn't to get better, don't come around me. Because I don't want to. If you're not trying to get better every single day, every single moment that you draw breath, then you can't come around me. And that's just how it is. So, but I'm just blessed, man, because it's like I started off probably like, when I retired probably 8-9 years ago. I was just working with one or two kids, both from D1 players now. And, man, it's like now I work with everyone in the world, man. Rookies to all-stars to MVPs to in the women's game now. I always loved the women's game. And then, rest his soul, I love Kobe. He was like, he was such I met Kobe when I was 16. First time I saw him play, I was 13. He was playing at the Long Beach State at the arena, because that's where Summer League used to be. But yeah, man. So Kobe, he got me even more involved in the women's game. So man, it's like I work with so many people now, and I'm just blessed. So now it's a thing where I have enough time in the day to work with people, and that's something like I kind of feel bad about a little bit, but like I wake up every day 4 a.m. I'm working usually by 5:30.
Yeah.
and then I usually get off work at 5:30, and then I also coach a high school team. So imagine how my days go. My days are like 5:30 to 7:30.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Work. Yeah, but I love it.
Yeah.
You know?
You got to.
What do you have any great Kobe stories that it changed your mindset talking to him about anything?
Well, man, it's like, so when I was 16, I met him when I was 16. And then when I was 17, this is at the Adidas camp, right? The All-American camp, ABCD, right? And so Kobe was signed to Adidas first. Like, a lot of people don't know that. They think he was Nike always. But he was signed to Adidas first. So, and then, so we were at Adidas and top 15 players, so, whatever. They took us to the back. And then, lo and behold, we got to meet Kobe and talk with Kobe. And it was cool. Kobe was saying a lot of cool things, a lot of dropping a lot of nuggets, a lot of wisdom. But afterwards, I talked to him and he was like, yo, you ever, in LA, because I was talking, I said, like, my dad's from LA, my mom's in Georgia. He's like, you ever in LA, yo, hit me up. And I was like, all right, this dude, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? So I hit him up. The summer, right? And it's crazy. It's like one morning, it was like we were at Palisades High School, something like that. It's like down kind of by the beach in Malibu. It's not Malibu. It's like Santa Monica, right? We're there like 5 a.m, man, running on the track. All right, then we go in the gym and we do moves and work out. All right, then we get lunch and then we go shoot. And then we come back and then we go play pickup somewhere, right? And then after pickup, he goes and shoots again. And I look at him like at some point during the day, I think it was probably like while we were shooting, I was like, you do this every day, man? He's like, yeah, every day. And I thought he was crazy. I literally did. I said, this guy's nuts, man. Yeah. This makes no sense. Why is this guy working out 6 times a day?
Yeah.
Like, but then when I got to be, because my freshman year came in, and with Mike Davis getting the program and Coach Knight not getting the program, that kind of reset, because Coach Knight kind of knew me, and with Coach, I had to learn Coach Davis. Even though being Coach Davis, we always had a good rapport, but I had to, I had to do it for Coach Davis like I did for Coach Knight. And Coach Davis, he did something that I felt was just, he gave the players that were there playing for Coach Knight the longest, he gave them more of the leeway. So he made me have to earn mine, right? And I earned it, but I earned it from, he'll tell you, man, I lived in the gym every single day. Like he tells people all the time, like when I got there, my freshman year, I only shot 9 threes, right? And in my sophomore year, I was like one of the top 2 or 3 shooters in the league. So it was just all work ethic. And that's something I picked up. So like I'm looking like the summer in between my freshman and sophomore season, I'm starting to be just like what Kobe was, because I'm seeing now, I'm like, oh, so this is how he got better. But yeah, man, that's the thing I learned from Kobe, man, is just if you want something, everything is tangible, right? But you got to work for it. And if that means going to sleep earlier so you can get up earlier, if that means staying up a little longer, much more work in and get more of an edge, then, so be it.
Sounds like you have to be okay with people thinking you're crazy too.
Oh yeah, you got to be. You got to, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's like people, I mean, we're humans, right? So we cast off things we don't understand. So if you don't understand something, you're going to be like, man, that person's crazy. Oh man, they're nuts. Oh man, and this is this. Is it always they're nuts or they're crazy? It's just that, sometimes people are just, they're just driven. And when you have a drive and when you find a passion in life, man, it can be awful inspiring and true inspiration. I don't feel it ever dies, man. Like it's crazy, like to speak, but even right now, I'm much more passionate than 99.99999% of the people I work with.
Yeah.
It's like on rare. It's probably out of all the people I work with, I'm talking about NBA people, WNBA people, college All-Americans, high school All-Americans to 12-year-olds, right? There's only been about 6 or 7 where I'm like, all right, they love it like I love it, you know?
Yeah.
And even then, I'm not going to tell them they love it like I love it. But I love it.
Speaking of that,
I mean, like I love it.
Speaking of that, let's talk a little Indiana 2002, because I think, cementing your legacy in the history of IU hoops, just that tournament run. What were your recollections of winning the Big Ten championship and just that tournament run? Because your passion and just enthusiasm for the game and some pretty amazing gameplay just coalesced right at the same time for just iconic plays and so much fun. So what do you remember about that time?
Well, I got to say this, man. It truly was a team effort. Coach Davis, man, I'm going to tell you this. Coach Davis, people will say he's nuts, but again, Coach Davis is inspired. That guy is one of the biggest and best offensive geniuses in the world. So he used to draw up plays left and right all day long. He'd watch NBA games, man. I remember he'd get kind of enamored, or fixated on a certain team or a certain coach. And he studied the Spurs for like 3 weeks straight one time, I remember. And he'd do that, right? So we had that. Coach John Treloar, he was a wizard in terms of he was almost like Phil Jackson, He could get into the minds of every single person on the team and kind of figure out how we think and what makes us tick. Ben McDonald, he was the guy with just a passion for improving. So, Coach Mack, he talked to us, and then he workouts for each one of us that were kind of tailored for us, right? We had Jim Thomas, national champion, played at Indiana. He knew it all, right? So He would always come with the timely advice in the moments where we needed it, and so we had that. As far as the players, man, perfect, man. We had Dane Fife was the toughest nails. I attribute much of my success on the basketball court from not from before, but since the time I met Dane Fife. Dane is responsible for me being a hell of a defender. Dane Fife is that. I was lousy on defense until I met Dane Fife. Without Dane Fife, there's probably no me, right? So that's how I feel about him. Jared Odom, tough as nails, tough as nails, tough as nails. I'll say it again. He's tough as nails. Coverdale, big time player. Coverdale, big time player. Big time player. I'm just a big time player. Al Hornsby, tireless worker. That's why he's a doctor now. Yeah. He's a tireless worker. And, and Jared Jeffrey, he was the best communicator I ever played with.
Interesting.
You knew where everything was going on the court because Jared Jeffries used to call it out. He'd be in the back of the defense. Hey, watch his flare there. Ball screen here, cuz. Hey, let's do it. Let's flatten that out. Like he'd just be talking, right? Jeff Newton, so smart. Jeff Newton is so smart. And Jeff Newton was too ahead of his time. He was like the players now.
Yeah.
But he had all of that back then. So he was like years ahead of his time. George Leach, 7 feet, get it out, right? Just get it out. You know what I mean? And Donald Perry was a world-class player.
Yeah.
Again, he was a player like I don't think people really realize the amount of talent we had on our team. Yeah. Like they look at like, oh yeah, sometimes they say, oh yeah, they're a bunch of, 8 guys, they got 3, 4 brothers, but man, we had if you look at it, our team was probably like 7 Mr. Basketballs,
yeah,
right? And probably 5 All-Americans. So it wasn't like we were bums. And so once we figured it out, all of us figured it out, our practices, I'm telling you, you talk with anybody on that team, our practices were legendary. Were way more competitive than the games. I think Jared fought Dane Fife that year in practice. Jared fought him. I fought him. Jeff Newton fought him. George Leach fought him. I think Coverdale fought him. You know what I mean? And then there were fights. I think that year there might have been 16 to 18 fights in practice. So you got to understand. So you got a team. If you have a team of men who are fighting each other in practice, well, what do you think we're going to do in the game? We're going to kill somebody in the That team there was the most fun I've ever had. And listen, I've been on a high school team that was 33-0. We won our state. But I'd say my high school team, that year with my high school team and that year with that 2002 team, those are the most fun I ever had. And that 2002 team, that was hard because we beat a lot of teams with a lot of talent. Like that Duke team we beat, man, that's ridiculous, man. It was 6 NBA players.
Ridiculous.
So it just comes down to it was a team effort and everyone cared, man. Everyone cared. Everyone contributed.
Well, talking about the Duke game, I remember as an Indiana fan and living in Indiana, we always had parties for your games. And there's definitely a couple holes in our drop ceiling in my parents' house. From they only had a 6 foot tall drop ceiling, so when you couldn't jump high, but high enough. Now there was a couple holes especially from your block. I think we all went nuts. So tell us what you remember about it.
Yeah. Well, I kind of saw the play developing. So we were scrambling on defense. We don't like to switch, but we had to switch. So Fife switched on the Boozer. So I saw calling for the ball. I said, you know what? When he gets this ball, I know he's going to step baseline. And he's going to try to go up on Fife. I'm going to fly over, and I'm going to knock the living hell out of him. That was what was in my mind. I'm just going to foul the crap out of him, and then he'll get his 2 free throws.
Yeah.
And then so when I ran over, I jumped up in the air so high because I'm like, yo, he's going to try to dunk this. I got to get up high enough so he doesn't dunk on me. And I can throw this big joker down, right? Then as I jumped, I just kept going. And the thing was, it was almost like I was 10 to 12 inches higher than him.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm just gonna block it. And then I didn't go knock it out of his hands. I just went up and put my hand on top, just kind of set him down with the ball in his hands, and then. I lost it after that. I was like, man, that's pretty cool. I still think that was my coolest thing I've done on the basketball court.
Yeah, unbelievable. I love a bunch of stuff you said about that team too. Jared Jeffries, it's interesting hearing you talk about his talking on defense because in the NBA, he really became, I think, more known for his defense rather than his offense. And hearing that, you can kind of hear the seeds of why that was. I'm also curious just about Fife since he's now back
he was great.
Back in the Indiana fold.
In Indiana?
Yeah. What do you think of Dane Fife, assistant coach? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, me and Dane are friends. So I was talking to Dane like 2 days ago. So I talked to Dane probably like once a month. And we were on the phone like 2 days ago talking. I'm going to go up there and see him in June. But nice. Man, I love Dane. I love Dane in Indiana. Dane loves being at Indiana. Yes. Dane's pumped. Dane's so pumped. And we always talk about life. So me and Fife, we were always different, right? He's different in his respect, and I'm different in my respect. And different, I'm saying, by the way our minds work. Like we love the game, but we also are eclectic. So off the court, we all have our own different elements, different things that we enjoy. And so me and Fife, we always end up talking about basketball at first, then it evolves into politics and all different types of things. But he was saying how he's just excited to get it going. And Yasir Roseman, that's my boy. So
really, okay, good.
I was 11 or 10 years old when I met him. He's from Atlanta. He was like the point guard, and so I loved him. And he used to always give me advice, give me pointers, help me throughout my whole life, man. So I'm excited that
nice.
that Woody got and Dane. I got Woody's number too. So
I was gonna say
talked with me probably like 7, 8 years ago when I retired and I first got into coaching. And he was out here because he worked with the Clippers.
Yep.
Probably like 5, 6 years ago, and I talked with him. And he just gave me a lot of sound advice, So I talk with Woody a lot too. So man, I'm excited. I'm staying close to Woody, staying close to the program because you never know.
Never know.
Because ultimately he knows. Like I told him, like I want to get back.
I love hearing that. Well, hey man, I so appreciate you being on tonight. Before we wrap up here, we've got some quick hitters that Robert's going to hit you with. Just a few quick hitting questions. We got some gear on your way, on the way to you too. So you have to make sure you let us know. Check that out, and I think you're going to like it. And welcome to come back anytime you want. I'm sure we'll hit you up if that's all right. If we're releasing some 2002 Indiana gear or just telling a story about the team. But it's been fun talking this evening. So he's going to hit you up with some quick hitters.
What's the coolest arena you played in besides Assembly Hall?
Man, you know what? They all are cool, but that Minnesota and the Vanderbilt, both of them, because both of them have those elevated floors, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you can fall off. Like Vanderbilt is not so bad because Vanderbilt's floors are they're 20 feet long, off of the court.
Oh,
So it's like you're off the court and you got 20 feet and then it just drops off and it falls into nowhere.
Jesus.
But Minnesota's dangerous because Minnesota is 3 or 4 feet off the floor and then you're just in the middle of nowhere. So I think at Minnesota, one time I might have stumbled off the thing. So those courts were cool, but I was always kind of a little bit scared that I may kill myself,
Yeah, especially with your hustle.
All right, what's the craziest opposing fans?
The crazy opposing fans?
Yeah, who are the craziest?
Oh, man, they had to be it had to be it's probably three-way guys. It's probably Illinois and Purdue. Three-way.
I wouldn't guess Illinois.
Yeah, they're crazy.
I thought maybe Wisconsin or something, but
interesting.
They had rocking. Back then, they had it rocking.
Depends on the teams too.
D Brown.
Yeah.
No.
Wisconsin's weird.
Yeah,
because Wisconsin's weird because they're really not close to you, so you really don't know what they're saying anyway. But in Illinois, they're right there, and in Michigan State, they put their student section around the court.
Mm-hmm.
So the part around the court is all students.
Yeah,
and that place gets crazy. All those schools I named other than Purdue, but Michigan, because Purdue that's the rivalry that's there just because it's there.
Right,
it's Purdue. But the Michigan State and Illinois, man, both of them might have had 7 NBA players while I was in college. So that was tough.
That's awesome.
It was tough playing there.
What was the team you least liked to play?
Oh man, I liked everything, man. It's nothing I didn't least like. I love everybody, bro. I love playing. If I could have played a game every single day of my life, that'd be my dream life. If every day I woke up I had a game, I'd be hyped. So I love playing. I didn't care who it was against, man. I remember we played Alaska Anchorage one time. I was out there flying all over the place. Man, we play anybody. I'm playing. I'm leaving it out there.
All right, who was the most impressive opponent you played against then, or a specific player who impressed you the most?
Oh man, it's probably in the race. So I'm gonna tell you all of my race. So this one might take a little while, but
that's all right. Yeah, you go.
So there was a guy from Chicago, right? He was in my grade. I remember I played him at AAU. He came off the bench. Didn't even start because he had TJ Cummings and Darius. There's a lot of people on the team that the kid played against us. And I'm like, this kid is the truth. Why isn't this kid, getting recruited? I find out the kid's grades weren't really like that. So the kid ended up going to Marquette. We all know who this guy is. This guy's one of the top 3 shooting guards in this game with Dwayne Wade, right? So I remember I was telling my coach about Dwayne Wade. He's like, whatever, Moye, this, and this. So when we played Alaska Anchorage, we went to the second round, we beat Marquette. So this is my second game of my sophomore season. Me and my coach, we stayed after and watched Marquette play Tennessee. Tennessee was a top 5 team. They had Vincent Yarborough, draft pick. Ron Slay went to the NBA. They had Tony Harris went to they had a lot of talent, right?
Yep.
This guy kills. He has 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. And coach is like, Moye, who you remind me? I said, man, he is 6'4" Jordan. Mike Davis like, come on, Moye. I said, look. And then so we play him. I do a decent job against him. I think he was 6 of 24, 8 of 24. But he got to the line 16, 18 times, right? So he 14 free throws. And then after the game, Coach Davis looked at me. You might be right, Moye. so that happened, right? Devin Harris, this guy made the biggest jump I ever seen in my life. His freshman year, we were like, all right, okay, he's all right. His sophomore year, I was like, yeah, okay, he's all right. His junior year, this guy was a leader.
Yeah.
So Devin Harris was real good. Darren Williams was one. So again, this is me and Coach Davis. I remember when he was recruiting Bracey.
Yeah.
So him and Darren played on the same high school team. And he was like, man, Bracey's this, Bracey's that. I said, yeah. I said, Coach, yeah, he's good. He's real good. I said, the one I be trying to get be Darren Williams. No, that kid. But Darren Williams ends up being a monster because Darren Williams was so smart. So he would run the team, he would run the plays, he would make sure he got everybody where he needed them.
Yep.
So he was so intelligent. He knew how to bait you in. He would look at the defense, drive, pitch it off, dump it down, throw a lob, right? For the last 5 minutes of the half, oh my Lord, he would just score. He would have 4 or 5 points. He finished the game with 18, 19, 20 points because the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, he couldn't do anything about it either. I've never seen a guy like that.
Incredible.
It's awesome.
How do you not shoot? How do you not shoot until the game's on the line and you don't miss?
Yeah.
So he was one where I was like, whoa. But the best player to me I played against in college was Chris Paul.
Oh, shoot.
And he was a freshman.
He's still getting buckets.
We played Wake Forest. Exactly. We played Wake Forest on the road. And the funny thing was, so Christian Summer, I was blessed. I worked with Dribble Too Much.
Okay.
And he's an NBA trainer. So we were training Chris Paul and DeMar DeRozan, right? Both
nice.
of them. Right. And I worked with DeMar too by myself. But we were training both of them. And I told that because Chris was like, he kept looking at me like, man, how I know you? I said, you remember? And then he said, oh yeah, you played in Indiana, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because during that game, I was doing some dirty stuff to me, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't wear the sun don't sound, right? He looked at me, giving me these eyes like, what? And then he looked at the ref, 3 plays go down the court. And boom, I get hit where the sun don't shine. And I look at him. And he's looking at me. He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, this little guy's crazy, right? But Chris Paul, scored 63-36. This guy ran through. He gave me the worst butt whooping of my life.
Unbelievable. And
I'm trying to guard this little rascal, right? But he had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 6 steals in one half.
Incredible.
And I was like, no. I was like, this guy's going to the NBA, and he's going to be one of the greatest point guards ever.
Yeah. Well, you weren't wrong. No doubt about it. I had settle a bet here if you remember, because one of the best players I ever got to play with was you. I used to play pickup hoops with you every once in a while. I don't know if you remember my buddy Chris Sims. He worked at Upstairs Pub, and I came back to grad school, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go play pickup ball with AJ. I'm like, AJ who? AJ. He's like, AJ Moye. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah, we go to the Hyper, and sure enough, you're there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. So I was talking to Robert. I'm like, this guy was like my ultimate teammate. He's getting every rebound, kicking to me for shots. I'm like, this is perfect.
Yeah,
hitting threes.
Yeah, that's me though. So people didn't know this, and if my coaches knew this, they probably killed me.
Yeah.
I was nuts. I love basketball. After my practice was over, so normally I do this. I get to the gym 6, 7 in the morning. I shoot, workout, right? I go lift weights. I go to class. I come back before practice. I shoot. I'd have practice 2.5, 3 hours. I go home, shower. Sometimes I go to night class. And I took night classes Monday and Tuesday. So by Wednesday, after Wednesday, I didn't have classes Thursday and Friday. But I used to practice for 3 hours and literally go to the Hyper, or I go to the what's the other one?
The SRSC.
SRSC, yeah.
Yeah.
I did those all the time, playing pick up for 4 or 5 hours.
Yes.
And my coaches never found out about it. But I used to do that all the time. And people would be like, oh, you're lying. Because people just always be like, nah, what the play with AJ. AJ will be there. No, he's not gonna be there. I be out there playing. I just love basketball, man. I don't know why. Something's wrong with me.
Nah, man. Something.
Like hold on, like even now, right before COVID hit, I played in the league on Tuesday. I played in the league on Thursday or Friday, and I play in the league on Sunday. So I play 3 games a week, even right now. Like I'm just, it's crazy.
Well, you let me know when you're back in Bloomington, man. I'm ready for some hyper run. We played at a gym yesterday. I'm good to go. Well, I know I'll at least have a shot if you're out there still. I don't think I would be doing as much.
I'm gonna be there sometime like June 20 something. So I'm gonna call you, man.
All right.
We gotta go down there.
Yeah. 100%, man.